Okay, so I've put the data in. One more thing I want to do with the data is just set the level of measure so SPSS realizes that this is a scale variable. Remember that SPSS, when it says scale, it's referring to the same thing as ratio or interval. Both of those are considered scale variables, quantitative variables that let us do a lot of different types of statistical analyses. So the next thing I want to do is get a picture of what the data looks like. I could use Chart Builder. Legacy Dialogues is a nice shortcut. In my case, I'm going to do a histogram. I'm going to put the variable here as minutes per night. Display normal curve. I could if I wanted to see what it looked like. The title of this graph is going to be minutes of deep sleep per night. I think that'll work there, and I'm going to hit OK. And that's going to give me a graph here. It does look fairly normal. And then I'm going to go in and edit it. I feel there's too many bars in there, so I'm going to double click. This is going to bring up my graph here. I'm going to click on that again. Maybe go to binning, and I'm going to say take it to 7. There, I feel that gives a little better picture of what's going on with the data. So maybe in general, this normal distribution with a little bit of a right skew here. Now I'm going to copy this chart into my lab. So I'm left clicking on it, then right clicking, copy, and we'll just paste that right there. We can resize it if we want to. Maybe that bottom portion I could take off. Oops. Okay. Maybe the crop doesn't work quite like oh, there we go. There's the crop. There we go. And I want to size this to what seems like a reasonable size. Fits in there. It's readable, but at the same time it doesn't dominate. So this would be step 4. I think I might there we go. So now we see this, and I might go ahead and center that. Nice. Okay, then step 5, what I want to do is the descriptives, just as we did in the first lab assignment. I want to get a sense of how this data is laid out numerically. So if I go to Descriptive Statistics Explore, and then I can put this as minutes per night, I maybe could look at outliers. I already have a history. I guess I could have gotten a histogram from this too. Stem and leaf would also be a potentially appropriate graph here. And let's go ahead and get that. Okay. So this is really what I want to grab. The main thing is this descriptives. I don't really have to worry about missing data here. This is one though that I can't just cut and paste. You might be able to in Word. In Google Docs, I have to actually save it as an image here. So I will do that. And then I will open up my lab report, and I'm going to have to insert a image here. So go ahead and do that. Get my descriptives. There we go. Okay, and this should be step 5 now. And most importantly, I mean, it's important for your sake in the lab to get them in there, but even more important is to take a look and see what's going on here. So like I said, in my case, I do have a fairly normal distribution. What does that matter? Well, that would allow me to use a t-test even if I didn't have 30 data points. In my case, I have well over 30, so the shape of the distribution wouldn't matter anyway. I'd still be able to meet the assumptions. But the closer it is to normal, the fewer you need in your sample to meet that assumption. And some numbers worth pointing out here. The first one is really important because that's the average. Average minutes of deep sleep I'm getting per night, 77, which already I'll talk about later, but 90 is kind of the minimum recommended deep sleep for someone my age. So already I can see that at least my sample mean is quite a bit below that. Whether or not it's far enough below that I believe in general I'm getting less deep sleep than the recommended amount, that's the whole reason we're conducting the hypothesis test. For now, all we know is that the sample mean is lower. It's yet to be seen whether it's low enough that I'm convinced in general, not just for the sample of nights I've recorded here, but in general I'm not getting enough deep sleep. Confidence interval for the mean, we'll see that again later, but basically we're pretty sure I'm getting, or I'm pretty sure, I'm 95% confident that if this study was a random sample, I'd be getting between 71 and 82 minutes of deep sleep per night. And then if I would take out some of these outliers potentially, which would make it a little more suitable for using the mean instead of the median, I'd have even a lower average amount because I think my mean is getting pulled up by this cluster here of really good nights of sleep with a lot of deep sleep. You can see my median here isn't far off of that trim mean especially, but even not too far off my mean within a minute or so. The lowest out of all these nights of sleep was 46 minutes of deep sleep was the lowest I ever got. 116, almost 2 hours. So 120 would be 2 hours of deep sleep. And there was at least one night where I got almost 2 hours there. And you can see the range, quite a bit of a range for how much deep sleep I'm actually getting per night.